they work with widows.
Oh,
You're good.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. So they work with widows, and it's kind of interesting because here where we live, widows, we think of ladies that are older, whose husband maybe passed away, but they're really young. There's a lot of violence, and many of them are widows because their husbands died, and for many other reasons, because health. It's not like here that our health system is, whether you can pay or not, you can go to the hospital, and even if you end up paying for the rest of your life, at least you're alive. But right, but there is different. You don't have it, you don't go. So for many reasons, but there's a lot of women like that now they have children that they have to sustain themselves, and so they have a program to support widows, to teach them to do their own business or a trade or things like that. It's really neat. They have just this year they began. Somebody donated many sewing machines, and a lady from here, from the States, went step by step teaching them how to do some things and how to cut them. And so she will do it in English, and I will just translate what she was saying. And they said they're having a great time with that because the ladies are learning something, and now they have something that they can use. So sometimes it's not like you don't want to learn, it's that you don't have a sewing machine, and buying a sewing machine there is not like us here. You can just actually go to Walmart and get one. So that's another thing that we support, but also they have teen moms. They have a brand new place that they take teen moms. And when I say teens, I really mean teen. I think that they told me that it's an 11-year-old in the house right now that's pregnant. Those things we don't even think about when we think of teens here. It's like, I can't even think about that already. But there is a lot of that over there, and a lot of it is due to what's the word? They have been raised. A lot is people they know. I mean, it's just very sad stories. But the beautiful thing is that this place that we go wants to help them, and so what they do is they have in that house they have they call it grandparents. So it's like it's a couple, and they teach them to be moms. And while during the day they can go to school, the moms and the grandparents take care of the babies, and the compound has a school within, from preschool, from babies all the way to 12th grade. So it's really neat. When they are 18, they have to leave the place, but they support them still. Like if they are going to if they want to continue going to college, they support a family outside the orphanage so that they can continue to go to school. Isn't that
wonderful?
It's really wonderful. So so they do a lot of great stuff. So when we go there, some of the things we do, one of them, the best thing, is that we get to play with all the kids. There is no more fun in your life. I tell you, you have to come sometime. If you at all can, there is such joy. Playing with 100 kids, believe me, you have no time to be thinking about what you worry about. It is total fun. So we do that. We play with them. We do BBS. We teach them about the love of God. Because if you think about it, we can make them happy for a little while playing and all this. But if they get to know and have hope in their heart, that joy will last forever, right? That's our hope. Yeah. We play. We do all the things. We having a cake there is kind of a luxury. I didn't realize how expensive it is. Oh my goodness! Until last time we went and bought a cake, I was like, what? Like here we can. I just can't believe it. But anyway, it's a luxury. So when we go there, sometimes buy a cake. Obviously, you gotta buy more than one, and they gotta be bigger. So look how many kiddos. And so I forgot to tell you, but so how they have them at this orphanage is really neat. They have about 10 to 12 homes. And each home has a set of parents, which is a real husband and wife. And each home has about 10 to 12 kids. So it's either all 10 boys or 10 girls or whatever, like that. So each one of them has that many. And it's kind of neat because it feels like a home to them. They call them mom and dad, and they have chores in the house. And they have a big place with a lot of land. And they teach them to cultivate. It's part of their, when you go there, you will see tons of avocado trees that they have planted, tons of pineapples and papayas and, all the stuff, because they want to be self-sustained as best as they can. They have a, fish thing where they can grow fish, and because forget it, they don't grow them. There's no way they can ever eat fish. It's too expensive and how many kids to feed. So there is, so we do that. We go to visit, what's the word again? The lady with the older people go. Nursing homes. I can't get the word in my head. Nursing homes. We go to nursing homes, and when we go there, we just are silly. We dance and they laugh, and we bring pizza and cake and just make them happy for the day and that kind of stuff. This time we're gonna go to another. Besides going there, we're gonna go to a different place. We're gonna go to 2 different communities, and there, we will buy about 100. Not about. We will have 100 bags or baskets of food, which people that live in about $1.50 a day. That's how much. Isn't that something that boggles your mind? It does every time I think about it. It's about that much. So, and for them to spend any amount much more than that means they spend everything they made in a month. So it is a total blessing to them when we go and we can bring them some food and, and then we just bring the basic stuff. Sometimes we throw a fun thing there, like an umbrella, because you need it all the time there for rain, for sun, but salt and sugar and coffee and soap and all those things. And it is a joy to see their hearts so blessed. So this time we're gonna do 100 of them. So we're gonna go to 2 different communities, 50 in one community, 50 in the other, and we get to visit with them, bring them to their homes. So wonderful. We are so looking forward to doing that. So the proceeds of this is 100% for that. So I really appreciate that. I meant to put slideshow, but then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we can have 2 things going on, for you to see some of the pictures. I really recommend for you to, if you have the time, if you have the inclination, it's not for everybody. I totally understand. Some people love doing that, and some don't. And some, the ones that don't, love to help in a different way. Like doing this is helping. To me, everybody who helps is going with us. You have contributed and you are part of it. But if you ever do, let us know. We do this for here. So let's paint. And Megan graciously has done a great job coordinating. Thank you, Megan. She donated her all the materials you have, her time, and not only her time, but her gift in teaching us to do that. And Angie got all the buckets. So thank you very much. That's
Megan's my sister-in-law, so we're a joint team here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everybody who's joining us online for today, and we'll give it to you, Megan, okay?
Perfect. Thank you, Andrea. And thank you, Dina, for sharing a few words. It's a pleasure to be here to support the effort in fundraising. I'm going to go ahead and make my screen bigger so everybody can see me nice and large. And we'll go ahead and kick this off more formally. Welcome. My name is Megan Van Wart, and I live in Fairfield, Vermont. So it's just over the hill from Jay Peak, really. And I'm from the Northeast Kingdom originally. I moved to Coventry actually when I was a kid. So that was really quite fun. And I went to Lake Region. So I'm fairly local to that area. So it's such a pleasure to give back to the Northeast Kingdom and to folks. And you'll get a really fun thing to do on a hot Saturday. How about that? But most importantly, thanks for being here. I am recording today's session. There's a couple folks that couldn't attend. So I will have a recording available for anyone that wasn't able to attend. You'll be able to follow through and do this activity on your own. But today's class is going to be really fun and light. If there's any questions along the way, please feel free to come over and ask. Andrea's phone is your point of truth. So come over and ask questions if you have it. And I'll pause and we'll take breaks in between. But we'll go ahead and get started. Before we jump in, everyone will need a cup of water to rinse your brushes, a small plate to mix colors, and a paper towel. I feel like most of you are all set up, ready to go. So we'll go ahead and jump in. And I'm going to be painting with you every step of the way. How about that? All right. So I'm going to be painting on a sap bucket with you. And I went ahead and I taped off a square. If anybody's never painted on a sap bucket before, it takes like a couple layers of paint to like get it on and then for it to stick. So one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to paint the background. So if you haven't marked out a square, just figure out how wide you're going to go. I typically paint, even without the tape, I typically paint up to the top of the brim. We do have Terry who's joining us remotely. Terry, you can tape off a square or you can kind of go full force for the canvas. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with our blue. If you haven't taken a minute to open up those paint pods, feel free to do that. They can be tricky to open, so I'll show you how to do that really quick. The first thing is if you wanted to take them and do a 1-2 twist to pull them apart, you could. Andrea, I did mute you, so if there's any questions, you might have to unmute yourself. But there are 2 plastic tabs on the front of these containers. Start opening the blue and the black first. That's where we're going to start. And the tab on the left is what's going to open the top. The right tab does absolutely nothing. So I'm going to use my left thumbnail to peel open the top. So left thumbnail for me, I'm a lefty, under that left tab, and it will peel that top up and open. So open the blue and the black first. And we're going to mix. The background for this inspiration is a beautiful like navy blue. You could even just do a cobalt blue. So I would say we're going to start with our biggest brush. And we're just going to do a flat coat. So as we get started, your biggest brush is either going to have a flat tip or a rounded tip. Get your brush a little bit wet before we get going. And you can determine the background color, but I'm going to do a blue. Maybe I'll put a little bit of black in it. A little bit of black will go a long way if you want like more of a navy blue color. So I'm doing a touch of black with a half of a scoop of blue out of your paint container. And I'm going to mix those together. And I'll show you what this looks like. And you're going to do a full single coat on your bucket or on your canvas. And I'm going to do nice, smooth, horizontal brush strokes. And don't be afraid, ladies and gentlemen, to really go for it. It's going to need 2 coats, so don't fret. Just get the first coat down and try starting on one side of the bucket and kind of swirling your way all the way over to the other side. You can see it's going on fairly thin right now. Don't worry, we're going to do a second coat. So just do a single coat first. We're going to do this fairly quickly. This isn't the detailed part. And by getting this first coat on, it's going to help all the other paint stick. It's going to give it something to stick to, because painting on a sap bucket it takes a little bit of patience here. But by putting down a couple of base coats, we're going to be in good shape. Now, if there's any questions along the way, feel free to ask. You can use the chat, Andrea, on your phone, or you can unmute. I did mute your line for background noise, but I want everybody to paint, figure out how low you want to go. If you didn't do a square, figure out how low you want to go. Keep your line straight if you want to. And just doing a nice smooth coat. This will dry. And I'm showing you all what it's like to be a little speedy. So I kind of started at the top and I worked my way down. Quite fun. You can kind of air dry it a little bit. And then once you work all the way down, come back in and do a second coat, and you'll see how this second coat will stick a little bit better. If you want your color to be a little brighter, you can do some brighter areas. Brighter as in like just more blue. Save some of your blue for greens in the future. So you might be tempted to use all of your blue. Save a little bit of your blue for green in the future for awareness. You should have plenty of paint, but just sharing. Sometimes folks like to use more paint than needed. So I'm just sharing that for a little bit of awareness. And I don't know about you all, but I'm getting this kind of cool wavy look when I'm doing these brush strokes. That's okay. We're not going to fill this in 100%. The second coat is going to help, but we're going to have a little bit of texture and it's going to look great. So with art, we're not striving for perfection. We're going to have a lot of character here along the way. So just take a couple deep breaths. This is the easier part of tonight's class, doing a solid background color. And you can see it helps tremendously. But you can do nice smooth brush strokes. Try going from one side all the way over to the other. And then you won't have too many kind of patchy areas. There we go. And if you have lines, just make sure you go all the way over to the side.
I think we're all getting a good base layer, Megan. We forgot to pass around the inspiration, so I've done that.
Okay,
And,
cool. So everybody's doing good.
It looks like, yeah, it looks like most people here have decided to tape off edges.
Okay.
And I think we're at least one coat, if not two coats in for everybody.
Okay,
so.
good. So I just finished 2 coats, so we're doing great. Perfect. So once everybody's done that second coat, go ahead and clean off your brush. You're gonna have some lovely blue water. Don't worry, the colored water is not gonna mess with things, I promise. So clean off that big brush. It's good to clean brushes as you go. So definitely important. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with some pink flowers. So we're gonna let our blue dry. So if anybody wants to wave it a little bit, you can. We're gonna take, we're gonna use our red and a tiny touch of white to make a nice pink. So I'm gonna use.
So we're a little behind you, Megan, here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We still are in drying phases.
Oh no, we're just mixing paint. We're okay. Nope, it's gonna take a minute to dry.
Yep.
Nope, it's.
But if people are done with their 2 base coats,
Yeah. So I'm talking about mixing the light pink because we're going to be doing that next. So right now our blue is drying, but we're going to mix the pink together while our background in blue is drying because mine's still wet too. So while our blue is drying, we're going to mix a light pink as a group. So everything is an evolution. So we will definitely take our time. Don't feel rushed. But as our blue is drying, we're going to need pink as our next color. So you're going to use red and white mixed together. And you're going to take about, and you can use, let's use a medium-sized brush. So the brushes that I shared with you, there are small gold numbers on the side. If anyone has a 2 or a 3 or a 4, I grabbed a 3 brush. We're going to use this to scoop out some of the red onto your plate. And then if you want to grab any other clean brush, again, our blue is drying. We're doing this as the next step. You're going to grab a little bit of white and you're going to mix a pink. And you're going to grab just a small scoop of the white. You don't need too much. I have about a pinky's nail, ring fingernail worth of white paint. And just take a minute to find a nice pink that you like. So I'll have this mixed and ready to go. And then before we start painting the flowers, I'll talk a little bit about the composition of the picture. So again, my blue is drying. If anybody wants to grab a plate or something around you, you could wave it around. Otherwise, it will dry over the next couple minutes. But I have a really beautiful pink. We're going to go through a lot of white and red today, so be very thoughtful on how much red and white you're using. You don't need too much. A little paint will actually go a long way. Perfect. So it was about 75% red and about 25% white, but you can find a nice pink color that you like. The less white you add, the more rich reddish pink it will be. But we're going to have lots of colors, so no problem. So I'm going to set that down and I'll talk to you all a little bit about the composition and the inspiration as our blue is drying. So our inspiration today is a gorgeous, abstract kind of bowl of or a vase of flowers. And there's lots of colors of flowers. So this is what we're going to be striving for, is to have lots of colors and lots of shapes. So you can see there's pink flowers, there's a sorbet orange, there's some darker red. I see a really light pink. And then there's some green leaves. Some are, a lime green. There's some yellow tucked in. So what's going to happen is we've painted the dark background and now we're going to let that dry, and it's not going to be entirely dry. It's going to get pretty close though. And then we're going to start painting some of these flowers just to kind of get a little bit of a sense of structure of where we're going to be at. And then we'll start to kind of build in the bowl as well. Now, being thoughtful of the amount of paint that we have. So what we'll do is we'll do the bowl about halfway through, but I'll show you different considerations on where to place flowers. But as you can see in the picture, the bowl's really on the second half. So you get to decide how big or how small you want these flowers to be. If you want a big bowl, if you want a skinny vase, you can make those options. But for me, the cylinder is about halfway, and my flowers are really going to be the whole top half of this. So again, you can do as many or as few flowers as you wish. But that's a little bit of our process and where we're going. Okay, so this is the fun part. This is where you have to put your creative suit on and have some fun here. So everyone needs this pink color. And we're going to do a little pink here and a little pink there. And these are kind of be like ranunculus kind of style flowers. And again, I'm going to put a little guide mark to say here, right there is kind of where my bowl's going to be, which means I want to build my bouquet up higher than this. So I just put a little pink dot, because guess what? I'm going to put a flower right there. So the first flower is going to be fairly circular, so you can get there any way that you wish. So the blue is going to be a little wet, so just be patient. So I'm going in just with a couple of brush strokes, just doing maybe some small lines just to make a flower shape. And you can do some dabbing to kind of get some color on. You can have some fun. The blue is going to be wet. So when you're painting, do this fairly lightly. And I'm doing little dabs of color. And we're likely going to come in and do a second coat, so don't worry about this too much. But we're doing circular. We're going, just filling this in. I'm just doing little dabs to fill this in. Quite fun. If you do some brush strokes, you're going to see it's going to move the blue, especially if your blue is wet. So you want to use your brush very gently, but you can do kind of small, rounded circular brush strokes, but be very gentle and you'll see The more gentle you go, the more your pink will hold. If you push down hard, you're going to go right layer down back to the canvas. So for me, I'll hold it a little closer so you can see it. You can see it's wet, no problem. But you can see I just created a shape, and that's all we're going for right now because we're going to come back in. So don't worry too much. So what we're going for is I want you to do some small and some large pink flowers. So the smaller you make something, I'm going to do a little one next to it, and you can do little dots. It can be overlapping. And I'm going to do some big ones and some small ones. And I'm going to do variety. So it's going to vary from the left to the right of the page. So I'm going to do a couple small ones here. Maybe a little pink one right here. These are all pink flowers. We're basically just using this to outline and to get some shapes on. And these are all in the same family, right? Same pink. If you wanted to do actual petals, you can. I'm doing these all fairly abstract. The blue is kind of coming through a little bit, but I'm not worrying about it because we're going to do more paint. So don't worry. So one of the things I like to teach in my classes is this. When you paint a bouquet of flowers, it's all about color balance. So you can see if you just look, I have some pink flowers and they're on the left side of the canvas. They're kind of towards the top, and then they're on the right side. So as I build this bouquet, my little pink flower is going to be in all the different spots. And these are not perfect. They're not, and I'm just letting it dry, just being patient. Patience is a virtue. This will dry, promise. Acrylic paint dries fairly quickly, so don't worry too much about that. I'm going to take this light down to see if that helps. That's not bad. All right. All right. So take a minute just to get a little bit of the pink on. And then I'm going to let it dry. And we're going to come back to this pink, okay? So if you're looking at me like, Megan, it looks smudgy. I don't know what's going on. Don't worry. Everything will be all right. So I have one big flower. I have a couple small ones. Now, everybody's is going to look different, right? You're going to be inspired to do your own thing in this class. In this picture, there's a lot bigger ones. So if you wanted to add in a couple, bigger flowers, if you really like this pink, you can do a couple of different styles and shapes. So if you wanted to do some with petals, longer petals, I'll do a couple of those for you. And your petals don't all have to be long. Some of your petals can be short. Makes your flowers look a little bit natural if not everything is so even. I teach a lot of classes, and the more imperfect something looks, the more natural it actually might look. So I added another one up here. Just kind of a fun spritz. But for me, I have a good balance of pink. Again, I'm going to come back to this pink, but I'm going to let it dry. I still have pink on my palette. I'm going to save that. So what we're going to do is we're going to bop around to the next color. Maybe we'll do that sorbet orange next. And if I'm going too fast, if you really want to slow down and take your time, feel free to continue doing what you're doing. But I'm going to continue to create different, it's going to be lots of layers of flowers. All right. So we're going to do a sorbet orange. So this is going to be really quite fun. So to make orange, it is yellow and a touch of red. So like 75% yellow and a touch of red. Now you can use, I'm going to use the same brush, this number 3. I just cleaned that. And you can take a small scoop of your yellow. And I love this sorbet orange. It is so much fun. Small scoop of the yellow. And then a tiny touch of red. And you can use another clean brush. Look at that. And I'm actually going to put a little bit of white, a tiny dot of white. This is what's going to give it the sorbet, the lighter tone. So you're doing yellow, a tiny touch of red, and a tiny coat of white. And we're going to make a sorbet orange. And these colors are going to be beautiful. When you get a second coat, on these flowers, they're really going to pop. So it's just trusting the process. Ooh, I just got a beautiful, mine's kind of like a Florida orange color. I'll take it. So you can mix any color orange that you'd like. You do need to add a little bit of white paint for the base. So for it to really hold on top of the blue, you got to have a little bit of that white in there. And I'm actually going to make a little bit of a lighter tone. And one of the things I just did is I scooped a little bit of this onto a well next to me. So I have 2 tones of orange. So that's optional if you wanted to do that or not. I want to have a little bit of a lighter tone because I like this really light orange. I think it's really pretty. So as we are starting to talk about our next flower, right? We're doing lots of colors of flowers and we're going to go in and do lots of detail, but we have to get these base coats down and then we'll bring everything to life. Again, trusting the process. Try doing a different shape flower. So for placement, I'm staying kind of above this range because I'm going to put a beautiful bowl down here. I'm going to do a couple of kind of more loopy kind of shaped flowers. Now, if your blue is still wet, don't worry, just come back in. So mine's still a little bit wet. I'm just going to come in and get a little bit more paint on my brush. And you can just do a little bit of dabbing just to kind of hold the color. Doing the brush stroke on top of the blue while it's wet, it is smudging. So just do some dabbing with the end of your brush and you can see it's holding the paint better. We're going to do a second coat on this anyways, so don't worry too much about what it looks like right now. Just all a process of layering when we're painting on sap buckets, just part of how it goes. So I kind of did a couple of wider petals and I might turn these kind of into a little bit of a peony, kind of a ruffled edge. And the more we paint, the blue will dry. So don't worry about that too much. But you can see I have a really, look at that, kind of a pretty, you can still blue come through. I'm not worried about that. I'll just take that away. That looks great. There we go. And now again, just like the pink, I'm going to do little bits of this orange in other places. So because we have a beautiful bouquet and try to do a little bit of different sizes. So I'm going to go a little smaller. And I'm just going to fill it in. I can always fix the petals. So if yours look like colored blobs like mine, for right now, that's okay. Colored blobs are all right. Don't worry. All right. So look, I have a smaller flower there. Again, for balance, I'm going to tuck a little orange flower up here. And you can have petals. You can have them be just purely round. That's a cute little flower. Use your eye. I might do another little orange one right here. Just kind of trust the artistic process here. Don't worry about it too much. If anybody wants to bring in a little bit of that darker orange. So for me, I held a little bit of like the darker orange. I really just held some of it. You can tuck in this other color wherever you wish. So we're really just getting some base coats of flower color on here. And you can see I'm holding that bottom space for my bowl, but I'm building my bouquet. And I'm just doing little touches of this dark orange. Look at that. Just as a little bits of accent colors, just inside ever so slightly. And this will all start to dry and it will really help to add in some really cool texture and some depth for our flowers. So I'll hold mine still, I'll spin it around. You can see I have an array of flowers. You can do as many or as few as you wish. So for me, I'm just playing with the oranges. The other thing I'll mention with art is that if you're inspired to do other colors at any other point, feel free to do that. You will not break my heart. Art is all about just taking the time to do what you're inspired to do. For me, I'm inspired just to put in a couple of like little orange dots over here. Maybe there's a flower with some really pretty kind of orange dots on the side. Or just like a little bit of design flair. I'm just doing some orange dots. Again, any ideas that you want to incorporate, you just go for it. Art's really about being in the moment. And that's one of the things I like to teach in my classes, is for you just to be in the moment and have fun. So I will repeat what I did for these orange flowers. I mixed, and I'll actually show you the two colors on my palette. I had two colored oranges. I had the lighter creamsicle orange, then I had some of this darker Florida orange. I did the lighter one first, and then I did the darker orange, just as like little dots and details inside. Kind of pretty. But this is where you can kind of have fun. So this is where I want you in your own time to build your own bouquet. Now there's a lot of other colors that kind of show up in here. There are other kinds of flowers. We're going to do green petals after, even though we will build some in just a few minutes, but we're just going to get a few more flowers in. There is a really nice color. And if you want to, while your paint is on here, if you want to go back to your pink and like do a second coat, like if you feel like that's dry, come on in and just do some dabbing. Look at that. And it's just starting to fill it in a little bit more. So if you wanted to just work on these flowers, maybe do a second coat, maybe we all do that for the next few minutes here. Just to fill these in. I like this texturized look. I'm just doing little dabs with my number 3 brush. Doesn't bother me like a little bit of blues coming through. The dabbing the paint is holding better versus a single brush stroke. But you all can do whatever you wish. If I do a brush stroke on top, let's see how well that holds. Not too bad. So as the blue dries, you can actually do, for mine anyways, you can actually do small, gentle sweeping brush strokes. Minimal pressure is recommended. If you're really strong, you're gonna have to pace yourself here. So I did some gentle brush strokes on the pink while my orange is drying, just to smooth out any areas. You can kind of be playful with how you want these petals to show. But again, don't take this too seriously. We're here all to have fun. All to have fun. There we go. Beautiful. And one of the things I love to teach in my classes is a little bit of mindfulness. And it's really just about pausing and reflecting on your work along the way and knowing that it all takes time. Oh yeah, that pink's sticking really good now. So it's okay to go to one thing and to come back. It's quite natural when artists work on things. You reflect on your work, say, okay, you lean back in your chair in this instance saying, okay, do I want to add anything else? Where do I like the way that this is looking? And you all have an array.
I'm going to walk you around just so you can kind of get a sense of what everybody's got so far.
Yeah, let's see it. I'm going to unpin myself. Oh, nice.
Yeah, how do I? So this is me.
Hang on, go slower. I'm not there
Yeah.
yet. Hold on. Remove, cancel. Hang on. I'm going to gallery. All right, good. I can see now. Go ahead. Beautiful.
Got some really pretty colors.
Yeah, they're really nice. And they'll start to come out and pop even more as the paint dries. Oh, pretty. Oh, nice. I see zinnias in that one.
Try to get everybody so she get a little sense of,
Everybody's doing great.
yeah, they are.
Nice. And so the lighter you go with the orange, the more contrast it will have to that background. So don't hesitate to use lighter colors, ladies. Nice. Oh, very nice. So some of you are doing lighter pinks on the pinks. That's exactly right. Some of you are jumping ahead to the details, which I like.
You are done for now. Good job. That's beautiful. Everybody's doing really well.
Yeah, they look great.
I think we're mostly in the same stage as you two.
Yep, perfect. Thank you, Andrea, for doing a little bit of a walk around. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So some of you, which I love to see, are jumping around and doing some of the detailed work. I'm resisting from doing some of the pink detail work because I want that base pink to dry. So we can continue working and filling in. So one of the next things that we're going to do is we will, let's add some green and some brighter yellows, because then you can start filling in other flower colors in between. So one of the things visually when you're creating this bouquet is there's an array of color and it's scattered throughout. So there's a little green on the left and there's a little green on the right. So the nice thing is that we're all going to have blue gaps, right? That's the background. We can slowly fill these blue gaps with color as we go from like one accent to another. So we're going to add some green leaves or add some yellow flowers. It's quite fun. So we're just going to keep moving around from color to color, and then we'll go back to these other colors because it will give us a chance for these to dry, but to start actually filling in some other spaces. Okay, so for anyone that's ready, I'm going to go ahead and grab, I believe I included a teal in the kit for everyone. So in your kit, go ahead and grab the teal paint, and you're going to put a touch of yellow with your teal. And the ratio is like 75% teal with like a 25% yellow. And you can use any brush you want. So maybe let's get a little crazy. Maybe grab a different brush. Get a little crazy here for a Saturday. You can grab a smaller brush. You can grab a bigger brush. The smaller, the better. I grabbed a number 2. It's just what I had handy here. And if you like that number 3 or that number 4, feel free to keep using that. But it is good to switch around and use different brushes. So this is kind of a greenish yellow color. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow and maybe a touch of white to lighten it. But I have kind of a really nice green. I'm actually going to make it a little bit more yellow, but everybody come up with like a nice color. I'm trying to go for that lime green. It's not going to look lime green, but I'm going to try to make it more yellow. There we go. That's better. It's a little bit brighter. Perfect. And we'll do our bowl after this step just to kind of get us grounded here. So I'm going to suggest let's use this green as just some initial foliage for any flowers that we have so far. And this will start to fill in the blue gap. So let's see here. I'm going to come over here and just find some flowers, and I'm just going to do a little bit of green just here and there, maybe a couple lines. Ladies and gents, you don't need big, crazy leaves. We're going to do some of those. Maybe I'll put in a leaf here. And again, with a second coat on this green, you won't see the blue through it, so don't worry too much. Beautiful. And you're going for a balance of color. Now, for anybody that is painting, I'm going to do a couple of these green dots because I think that looks cool. Anyone that's painting inside these squares, have your lines go up and right off the canvas, right up onto that painter's tape. But alongside some of these flowers, add a little bit of foliage. And this will really help to set the scene for you. You can do some half leaves, so wider towards the flower, kind of pointy coming off. And I'm not worried about seeing some of the blue through the green. I'm going to come back and fill that in. But again, look at a nice balance of green. I might do a little bit of a green sprig coming up. I wasn't planning on it, but sometimes we get inspired by art. It's like a little fern that wanted to be a part of the party here. This is fairly tropical, I feel like. But kind of rotate your can, rotate the sap bucket, and do a little bit of the green here and there. And you don't need a lot. Again, you could just do a couple of brush strokes. And this is all going to look a lot better too once we do second coats, and we haven't done any detail yet. So it's just trusting the process, getting some base things in here. So there's a couple of petals you can do, like the tip petal with the rounded base. You do it just a couple of lines and change the directions of your petals. And I haven't done any second coats yet, but I am being thoughtful about the balance of green that I put on from the left to the right. It's an important consideration. And anywhere your green's drying, you can do a second coat. And at this point, your blue is getting pretty dry. This will make our lives a lot easier. And it'll actually help our paint stick as well. Very nice. And this green foliage is really going to start making this look like a flower kind of bouquet style scene for us, which is quite nice. There, that glare. Sorry, that glare is so bad. Let's turn this a little bit. There we go. So for me, I'm just kind of reflecting on the green. Anywhere you feel like it's drying, you can just go in and do a quick second coat. We will be using our smaller brushes, like our detailed brushes for the flower detail work, but we're using this number 2, the 3, maybe a 4 or 5, whatever you have in your hand is fine for right now. But this green is sticking a lot better, probably because that blue's dry. Yippee. Nice. I did a little fern kind of plant over here, which means for me, I'm thinking in my head, well, I want it to match. I'm going to have to do one of those over here now, too, on the other side of the canvas, on the other side of the sap bucket. So maybe it's a sprig. It can be anything you want it to be. Just take a deep breath and enjoy the process. You all are doing awesome. If you happen to paint something you don't like, think about that. Is there a way for you to change the shape of anything? Absolutely. So if you absolutely paint a flower and you think it looks like you've stuck your hand in your paint and you've done a thumbprint, don't worry, let it dry, because you can use that background blue. That's our eraser. Okay. Very nice. So take a look at your green. Anywhere you can do a second coat, feel free to do that. If you want to downsize brushes for any of this green detail, you may. I'm just being careful and using the end and the tip. For me, I'm pretty satisfied with the kind of this basic first green. Looks good. And then we're going to pivot to doing a light yellow next. So if you're still working on your green, absolutely no rush, but I'll continue to share like different colors, different shapes, but I want you to work at your own pace. So yellow and white on your plate. Again, a lot of white. The white's going to ground us. I did send some extra white paint to Andrea and Dina, there may not be enough for everyone, so use your white sparingly, but there is a little bit of extra white paint if you need it. All right. So you're going to continue kind of like
I did have some, I had some extra of my own, Megan, green and some white and stuff too. So I'm kind of,
okay, perfect.
we're not concerned about colors. So.
Okay, cool. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
No, all good. So we're going to do a little bit of this light yellow as an accent along with the green. So I'm just going to take a minute to mix that. And if for me, I may not be done 100% with my green, but again, I'm intentionally as your instructor, and I'm pausing with the green and letting all these colors dry intentionally. There is method behind my madness, ladies and gentlemen, I promise. I'm not moving quickly to rush us. I am pivoting us to a different color for the other colors to dry. All right, we will come back to those, don't worry. But look, now we're creating this gorgeous palette of colors that we can just go and tap into whenever we want. So I mixed yellow and white together. This yellow is really quite nice. This is gonna really pop. You can have fun. Try to do some smaller flower detail work. So there's a couple of different things you can do. You can just do some lines with some little bell flowers. Use your imagination. Think of a different shape that you could apply as a flower. Maybe this is going to be just like a little cluster. Like a 1, 2, a little cluster of yellow. You don't have to have all flowers on here either. I might do a couple of yellow, just petals coming off of this flower. Why not? So art, it doesn't have to be a traditional form. Look at that. I just turned a little orange flower into the center of a yellow flower. But have fun where you might want to add a little bit of yellow. You could use lines. It does not have to be a filled in form. I'm just doing kind of lines with a little bit of the blue. And the nice thing is if I don't like it, I can always go paint over it. But I'm just doing kind of some rounded lines, like there's a flower tucked in here somewhere. This is kind of a little bit of a texture. And again, I'm doing a balance of color. So I have yellow up here. I need a little yellow down here. So maybe I'll just do a couple of yellow lines, maybe in a circular form. This is where you kind of lean back in your chair and just have fun. Be a little abstract on how you fill the space with the color. And if you paint something you don't like, you can always paint over it. Now, one of the things you're probably thinking is, well, Megan, some of these pinks and oranges look kind of dull compared to the yellow. Don't you worry. That's why we have white. We're going to come in with some detailed work. So don't worry. We're just filling the space as a group. But I love this yellow. It's beautiful. I'm just going to put a couple of dots here. And you can grab a smaller brush if you wanted to and just do some tiny little dots. I'm just having fun with it. I'm trying not to overthink it. That's the most important part in this step. I love the yellow. It's so springy. I'm just doing little dots of yellow here and there. Again, for that balance. Maybe I'll do some in this top corner. So you can do lines. You could do straight lines. If you like, you could do a swirl. You could do a little bit of a zigzag. Any way that you want to add color to this bouquet, you can. You don't have to do all circular flower shapes. So we'll add in another flower next. Not yet, but soon. I'm going to do a light pink flower, and it's going to be kind of upward petals only. So sometimes when you paint a flower or a leaf or a sprig, it doesn't need to be perfectly round. It doesn't need to be perfectly formed. It can be an odd shape and still look like a piece of nature, which we see every day. We just don't typically talk about, which is quite fun. I'm going to come in with a little bit of a smaller brush. I challenge you, if you haven't used a smaller brush yet, go grab a smaller one. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and just do a little bit of just dotted work, just kind of coming down like this is a piece of like a yellow flower that's just dripping down. Just something I'm inspired to do. I might even come in here with a little bit of light blue in the inspiration. They bring in light blue. It's really pretty. See that? And my bowl's going to be down here. So we'll do our bowl outline soon, just to kind of help ground ourselves. Adding in that object is always helpful. But I wanted you to stay focused on getting a little crazy with the flowers, because what we're going to do is our bowl or our vase is going to be tucked in behind this. That means we're not going to draw this front edge of the bowl, because this big pink flower for me is going to be overhanging the front of it. So that's why we didn't add our bowl up front. Nice. And my yellow is starting to dry. So what is that cue for me? Hey, Megan, go in and add a second coat. That would be a really good thing. So any flowers that are starting to dry, this is where you, as the artist, you can pivot and you can fill in any areas that might need a second coat. So everybody's going to kind of do their own thing. And I'll hold a solid 5 minutes here for people just to maybe look around their sap bucket, look around your canvas. It's so fun. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. Do a second coat. It's a lot easier when the paint dries. You all are probably starting to feel that now that the blue is dry. When you do a little bit of a second coat on the yellow, that's when this really starts to jump out as well. And we'll do the same thing with the oranges. My orange is a little dull. I'm going to come in here and brighten it up. Some of you, when Andrea was walking around, had that nice bright peach. I really want that bright peach, which means I need to add a touch more white to my lighter orange. That's what I was going for. I just didn't add enough. But take a minute just to stretch, lean back, check your posture. Oh, stretch your neck from side to side. Look at your neighbor and say, hey, you're doing a great job. And we'll continue to progress. All right. It's good to take a break and stretch. We'll do a walk around in the room. If anybody wants to stretch and walk around, feel free. You're not going to miss anything. But I'm mixing this lighter peach color. And I'm just going to add this to some of those my orangey flowers that it just wasn't light enough for me. And this is dry now. So guess what? I can go in. Oh, don't stick your finger in a wet flower. I'm sure someone else has done that. I'm just going to come in and just start to. You, again, challenge is to grab a smaller brush if you haven't done that for a while. I'm using a little bit of a lighter peach just on some of my orangey flowers. I'm looking for that contrast, that beautiful bright contrast. We're going to add that to the pink flowers. We will add contrast to the pink, so don't worry. You're not missing out on anything yet. Haven't done the pink ones yet, but look, that's a little bit of this orange contrast for and those ones there. And I can kind of reshape those, not worried about it too much.
I'm going to give you another little walk around.
Sure. Let me pin your screen. Nice. People are doing great.
Oh, sorry. Tried to sneak in there and I scared you.
And if there's any questions along the way, folks can ask at any point. Excellent. Oh, beautiful. People are doing lovely. But with acrylics, oh, beautiful. Well done. It's all about knowing that it's layer upon layer, and it's such an important piece of our art. Oh, people are
Got some
doing lovely.
purple back here too. It's nice.
Purple. I like it.
I like the white flowers mixed in.
Yep. Some people might be adding white. Great idea.
Ooh, you guys got all brave this last step, making all new things.
It's good.
So cute.
We're gonna do that bottom base next. Lovely.
A true artist back here doing her own.
I love it.
All right, switch you back.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks for walking around.
Mhm.
All right. So everybody's doing great. So keep going at your own pace, working on these details. I'm sure some of you are like, wow, we could really spend a really long time painting these flowers. That is absolutely right. So that's why I'm here to keep us on track. So what we'll do next is I'm just kind of playing around with colors, just like many of you. We have, as a recap so far, we had started with those darker pink flowers, kind of scattered those throughout. Again, small and large sizes of the flowers. By doing some smaller ones, dainty ones tucked in, it will make it look more natural by having different sizes. We then, added some of these orangey flowers, and we did maybe some dotting, and then we did some green leaves, and then we tested with some of the yellow. So everybody's tried a little bit of that, which is perfect. Again, we are going to just let our work dry, take a little bit of a break. Everybody's doing so well. We're gonna do our bowl next, just to get a base coat. And our bowl is going to be white. And you can use your big brush or you can use a medium size. So your bowl is like your vase, excuse me. Or if you didn't want to add a bowl or vase, you don't have to. For me, I'm going to find the center. I have my bigger brush. I'm actually going to unpin Andrea's window. There we go. I'm going to find like the center of my canvas. So the center of my taped in lines. And I'm going to basically kind of draw my bowl from there. So I'm going to do the edges of the bowl first. And you can play with the outline. So I always do outlines first. Always, always, always. So I kind of did, the base is fairly wide, but the top part is fairly wide too. And I'm just going to slowly fill it in. Do the outline first. Take your time tucking in and around your flowers. You can do vertical brush strokes down, maybe rounded brush strokes as you're filling it in. And this is where your whole scene is going to come to life now that your flowers are not floating in the middle of your sap buckets. And it was good that we waited. Again, things are done intentionally. The blue is dry now, right? Or for the most part. That means the white is going to stick. And you're going to see brush marks, so don't worry about that. But look, now we're starting to actually get somewhere. Look how gorgeous this looks. The base of my bowl is all the way down to the bottom. And the white, we're going to do smooth white brush strokes. And we'll do a second coat on this bowl as well. You can keep this like artsy and seeing the brush strokes, that's fine. I might actually keep some of this because it's kind of fun. But we'll do some stems coming down after, towards the end. But now you can see my flowers are actually in something and not just floating. So anyway, any shape, anything that you want to do here is fine. And just tuck in, and you can kind of reshape any of these flowers. And you can see that pink flower is overlapping the top of that bowl, which is quite fun. And if you don't have any overlapping flowers, it's because the sides of my bowl are higher than these flowers. See that? So bring your bowl up a little higher and just gently fill in. So beautiful. Beautiful spring arrangement you're making today. And we'll have some beautiful pink flowers kind of hanging over the front of the bowl. Very exciting. Don't do it yet. But there's a lot of, in leaves, we'll have more leaves. There's a lot we can do, but we wanted to get a base coat in together. So we're at a really fun part of the class where I'm going to have everyone switch kind of internally. You are the artist, you are in charge. I want you to finish filling in the bouquet in itself. So don't worry about the flower detail yet, but fill the blue space in between things. Because I'm going to come in and make my pink flower and my orange flowers look better. I'm going to add an additional detail, but try to fill in all of the gaps with those base flower colors first. And think about what colors you might want to add and where. I'm going to show you a light pink flower for consideration that I talked about. But you go at your own pace, fill in base coats of additional objects that you wish. There's also some purple flowers. You could do a light purple. Again, that white paint's going to be our base to help. So I'll show you a light pink flower, and then I will show you a light purple flower as well. I'll do both because they're both beautiful. So light pink is white with a teeny, teeny touch of red. Like a little red will go a long way. And I'm going to use a very small brush. Again, change different brush sizes. Everybody should have like 5 brushes in front of them. Changing brush sizes will kind of get you to try something new. So let's see, that's probably too much red. Let's mix that together and see what that gives me. Way too much red. Oh, not bad. So it's a little pinky. It's kind of like a powder pink. I might do some mini roses. Now, I'm not an expert at painting roses, but I'm going to try. So this is the trick. As you're filling in these gaps, try painting a different flower shape. It could be a swirl. It could be a 6-petaled flower. It could be an 8-petaled flower. It could be wide petals like a peony. You could do daisy petals. I always love, popping in a bit of a lilac shape. Look at what you have and try to do a different color in a different style flower. And it could be big or small. You can decide. Now I love mini roses. I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I'm just going to kind of go for it, being fearless. But I'm going to do kind of a little bit of a swirl, a little bit of a twirl, and I'm going to kind of work my way out. I'll take it. It's probably an abstract rose, but I'm just going to loop my way around. And I'm going to do a little cluster of these. I'm not going to do one big one. I'm going to do several little ones. And I wasn't planning on this. It's an idea that I had. And that is one of the most amazing things about art, is that we get inspired from ourselves. We get inspired from one another. along the way here. I'm using a thin brush and I'm doing a little swirl for the middle, and I'm building on petals around it. Again, super abstract. I'm just kind of going for it. I'm going to do a couple more of those in other places because I want it to match. I want to have that visual appeal. Like this is a true bouquet. Maybe this one's going to be a little bit bigger. See how they're close by, but there's some distance. I'm going to add more of these roses in other spots. So it's a little twirl for the middle. And then I did just kind of loose petals around. Just work my way around. So again, I don't think I've painted this type of flower in a long time. It just kind of happened. I'm going to do a little one up here. So I'm being intentional of doing a different size. Okay, building my bouquet. But again, you're in charge. You can do as many, as few, or as little of these flowers as you wish. That's entirely, like, you don't need a lot. Beautiful. I will definitely go in and do some second coats. And I left blue showing through the middle of these flowers. You don't need to always fill things in. It's up to you. I'm just coming in and just doing a second coat here and there. You can use, if anybody wants to use like the smallest brush for every single one of these flowers, I would encourage it. I am using a number 2, which is fairly big. I'm just trying to be really careful. Nice. And I'm just gonna repeat, and I'm gonna do a light purple somewhere. Excuse me. And it doesn't even have to be a light purple. It can be rich if you want it to be. Blue and red will make purple. And then a touch of white. So everybody's going at their own pace right now. You do not need to be painting exactly what I'm painting, but I'm here to offer you variety and offer support along the way. I can't come over and fix anything for you. I'm about 2 hours away, but I'm here to offer you virtual support. All right. So I'm going to make a purple over here. Mix it around. Ooh, I kind of have a warm, kind of grayish purple. It's kind of really quite nice. I might need to add a little bit more white so it stands out on the blue. You're going to find the right color as you mix. And I'm going to try to think of a little bit of a different kind of style. Now I'm looking at the picture. There is blue, ladies and gentlemen, that is showing through this. So you don't need to fill in every nook and cranny. I'm getting really close to being satisfied with the amount of blue space and the amount of flowers. Getting there. I am thinking about what style or shape I might be doing next. And we'll add in some green leaves as well. So I'll show you how to do that and very soon here. I might just do just a little bit of like purple lines, like stocky purple. So I just did a little bit there. I kind of like the opportunity just to do little abstract lines just to fill space, but also to offer just a simple variety. And I'll bring this a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just doing little purple dots. Look at that. So cool. And I'll do a little bit of a light purple detail to that. But again, the step that we're all on is try to stay away from like the uber detailed work. We're going to do that next. But just cover in your base bouquet. And you can see my base bouquet is like 99% there. I'm just leaning back in my chair and saying, well, what else do I want where? From a base bouquet color perspective. And I'm again balancing my purple on the left of my canvas and on the right. And you can also look around saying, well, what other colors may I want and where? And that's where you can kind of just lean back in your chair. And that's kind of the point I'm at is, well, am I happy with my colors? Do I want to add anything else where? I might add one more orange flower up here, but that's where you reflect a little bit of mindfulness, a part of the art today. We'll do green leaves next. Some more green leaves overlapping and kind of coming down. And there's some really beautiful blue accents that I'll show you as well. So I'm going to add in just a little bit of an orange flower here. And again, I'm going to come back in and do more detailed work for these flowers. We haven't done much of that yet, but we're going to use a much smaller brush for that. So again, the task that we were on is to fill the base colors, because now we can go in and really doll up these flowers, which some of you have already started doing. It's just like a natural part of the process, just to make them look nice as you go and not to have just a blob of red. Trust me, done this before. While my flowers are drying, again, I'm intentionally going to let them dry. So when I want to go in for the detailed work, they're going to be ready for me. I'm going to do a second coat on my vase, on my bowl. So it's white and it's beautiful and it stands out. And then I'll show you how to do some green leaves. Again, I want my flowers to dry intentionally so I can do some beautiful fun detail with you all. So Andrea, what I would suggest is if folks want to do like a stand-up stretch, after folks do a second coat on their bowl, maybe stand up, stretch, walk around the room, check out other people's. That could be a really fun thing. And I'm going to do the second coat on my bowl. And we can all, everybody's doing great. I feel like we've all been pacing well, very similar together today. And I'm kind of doing vertical brush strokes down, just filling in this bowl. And you want it to be as smooth as possible. You might need to do some touch-ups in some certain spots. But again, we intentionally let our first coat dry so we could then come in and do our second coat. Because we will put a couple stems, optional, a couple of stems coming down into the bowl. But I'll let you decide. I'm definitely going to do a couple stems coming down. It'll make it look a little bit more abstract. And then there can be overlapping leaves and overlapping flowers on top of the bowl. That's why we're all taking a minute to do a second coat. So again, feel free to stand up, stretch. We'll take a little 1 minute breather. If you want to keep painting, you can. I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to be right back, but feel free to walk around the room, finish up your brush strokes, and I will be right back. All right. Miss Terry, I know you're there and you're painting away. If you would like to share your work, we would love to see it. Terry is one of my regulars for a few classes here. She might be in the zone.
Okay, here we go. Oh, I guess I didn't. There we go. So I did a green background instead.
Nice.
And so I'm going to try to make my green leaves a different shade of green so they'll show up a little bit more.
Yeah, so Terry, you could do a dark green and a light green to have that
Yeah.
contrast. That would look
Good.
lovely.
Yep, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Terry. That's lovely.
Yep, thanks.
Perfect. I love it.
Got lots of ahs on this end from that. That was wonderful.
Oh, good.
Walk around again.
Okay, cool. I'm going to spotlight you
We
all.
have we all have some snacks and some drinks here.
Yes,
so
that's why it's good to take a break. Very nice.
that's me.
Nice, Andy.
Most people decided to go with some kind of more of a white bowl.
Yeah.
Megan, this participant is actually colorblind.
Oh my goodness. Doing lovely.
She's doing very well. Oh,
Well
in the
done,
process, you
ladies.
build it upside
I
down.
like it. They're just, oh, very nice. Gorgeous. Lots of detailed work.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
I
Lovely.
love the mix of the different flower colors.
Oh, yeah. Well done. How's Miss Dina doing? Is she painting?
No,
She should be though.
Well done. Well done. Really nice. So everyone's trusting the process here with these flowers. Oh, like it. Very nice.
Mhm.
Very nice.
Super fun.
I love it. Perfect. Thanks for the walk around. Everybody's doing great.
Mhm.
One of the best things that you can do in any art scene, if you're painting on your own or with friends, it's always just to just be in the moment and not worry about it too much. Just do what comes to you. Art is an inspirational activity. So well done, everyone. I've kept mine very simple. Some of you have started doing some detail. No problem. We will tuck in some whiter details as well. So no worries. I will show you how to do some more leaves. So right now we have lots of flowers. If anybody wants to try any overlapping leaves, you can as a next step. And then I'll do some blue accents, light blue accents as well. And then we'll do some flower detail. So I'll show you how to do some green leaves. Again, smaller the brush, the better. I grab my number 2. And for these green leaves, I want you to use so for me, I use this green grass. I'm going to do a different color. So I might make it a little lighter. So I have quite a bit right here. I'm just going to scoop a little bit of this green. I'm going to mix a little bit of white with it. And I'm just going to soften it just a smidge. And it's going to make it just a little bit brighter in color. In your leaves, as you think about green and foliage, I'm just going to mute Andrea's. Okay. I want you to think that your leaves can be different colors and they're not all going to be the same solid color. So one of the things I'd like to show from the inspiration is look at these leaves. Some have a green outline with blue inside. Some have a blue outline with green inside. So we're going to mix it up, and there's yellow too. So I have this green here, and I'm just going to kind of lean back in my chair and just paint a couple overlapping leaves. And maybe I'll fill this one in because I can always add an accent color. Add a little bit of foliage. And this is optional. You don't have to do this. That helps. And try that you can use.
We have, we decided we might run out of battery, but we have a charger, so I'm moving around, but I think we'll be
worries.
good.
You're all good. We're just doing a little bit of overlapping greenery coming down near the bowl. And you'll do a second coat on some of these. And again, if you paint something that you don't like, don't worry. I might use some of this lighter green as just accent within.
Very good. We saved ourselves.
All right, Andy, good job. So I'm just using a lighter green. I'm tucking that into some of these flowers as well. Again, using similar colors in different areas. So little leaves kind of tucked in up here. Again, this lighter green, I did a couple of leaves down here, but I can use this as an accent color, an accent detail as well. And I'll show you another really cool tip that you can do with this. Let me grab my tiniest brush. Let's see here. You can use a lighter green on existing leaves to give them veins or to outline. So let me show you what that looks like. So let's find here. I have this fern style thing. On the underside of this fern, I'm going to do a light green line under each of these petals. Look at that. This is some of the detail work that we can start together. So you can use, this is the trick, and we're going to use this for a lot of the detail work moving forward. Any lighter color from an existing object you can use as an accent or a way to add some detail. And the detail that we're adding is a little bit of depth. So any object that you paint ever, whether it's a blade of grass or a flower, there's 3 typical colors to a single object. Say it's a pink. There's a base pink color for the flower. You use a lighter pink to create a highlight, and you use a darker pink to create a shading. So you can see here with this green fern style thing, I added a little bit of the light green. And look at how it made that just jump right off the picture. So anywhere that I used that grass green initially, I can take my lighter green now and maybe outline, look at some of my leaves, adding in a vein maybe down the middle or some lines. And if you don't like the lines, you just draw a line through it. You can always come in and cover something up if you don't like it. But use this lighter green to work your way around to say, okay, well, where else can I use this as a little bit of a highlighter? So I'm finding all the original green and using this as a little touch, a little line on the edge, maybe on the left side or on the right side of any of that green foliage. It's a fun accent detail. Be consistent. If it's on the underside, do it on the underside for each. If it's on the left, do it on the left. And this one. You can do little vein, like leaf veins. So that's an example of that. Quite fun. And there's a lot of that we can do. But again, you can use this green, you can use another green to add any of this layering, these layering leaves. That's what I'm calling them. Like they're layering over, like on the bottom. kind of coming into the vase a little bit, or the bowl. I'm changing the shape of this leaf. I don't really like it. How easy it is to modify. There we go. And if I end up wanting changing the shape of something, it's okay. I can use white on top of the bowl as an eraser, right? If I want to change the shape of something. Bringing our bowl to life, bringing our bouquet to life. But I'll continue to bop around. We'll do some detail work on the flowers using that lighter tone trick. So my pink is still wet. I don't know how much paint I use, ladies and gentlemen, on this pink flower in the middle. I'm not going to touch that quite yet. But I'm going to do, I have these cute little purple flowers all over. And this is a really fun way of doing an accent for these light purple flowers. So if I have any extra purple, and you can pick any flower that you want, I'm going to make a little bit of a lighter tone. So I take white and I mix that into that, and I'm just making a lighter purple. Look at that. It's just ever so sweeter, ever so light. And you can see the originals right there. I'm using my smallest brush. I like to spin my brush on my plate just to kind of manage. And then where these little purple flowers are, you could do a dot. I might do like an outline, like an oval outline. See how I did a little bit of an oval outline onto the purple? Be playful on how you accent something. It doesn't need to be a dot. You don't need to outline something. Use your imagination. And if you don't like this style and you want to do yours a little differently, that's okay too. I'm here just to offer different suggestions. But I would say my task or my ask for you is any flower that you have, use a lighter tone of that flower to do detail work of your choice. That is what will bring these flowers to life. And that's the approach that we're going to take for the rest of the class for these elements. So I have purple flowers. So I mix a little bit of a light purple using a tiny brush. And you could even outline one edge of the petal if they're tiny. I'm doing little bell kind of outlines, like a 1-2 for my purple. I'm not overthinking it. Just having fun. You could just do little dots too. You don't have to do the same thing on every flower. You'll still see it. So I'm just doing a little dash just to show you what that looks like too. Even a little dash makes it look like a little piece of lavender. So that on the left, or my left, looks like as a little dash, and then you can see I have little bits. So kind of work your way around. I'm pretty happy with my purples. I might go to my pink roses and do something there. So my pink roses have a little bit of blue coming through, so I want to cover some of that up. So I'm going to use like a little bit of a darker pink and a little bit of a lighter pink just to kind of bring these to life a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm just going to start to fill them in just with a secondary color. I still want to see some of the swirl. I'm using a little bit of a reddish pink. It's okay to not know what you're going to do. It's just about going for it and then knowing you can always change it if you don't like it. It's okay. I did a little bit of a reddish pink in that one. It's okay. You'll do things you don't like. That's normal. It's just about embracing it. I'm going to do a little bit of white inside of my pink roses instead. For me, that's a better choice. But again, I'm here to be the guinea pig and do different things and show you what they look like. For me, the white inside of my pink roses looks better, but you can make your own choices. But if there's any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Everybody's doing such a great job. Even if you want to keep a little bit of the blue showing through, you can do that too. I kind of like showing some of the blue through. And I can always go back in and add blue if I want. Anything goes in that regard. So everyone's going to go at their own pace. Pick one flower. I haven't gotten to the big pink ones yet. We can do that together if you want. I'm going to go to my yellows. This one needs a little bit of fill. Ooh, that's beautiful, beautiful yellow. And I might want to add a little bit more of this brighter. I did a brighter yellow. I'm going to add a little bit of that here and there. Maybe some dots. I do like seeing the blue come through. For me, it's just a really nice contrast. If you don't want the blue in certain areas, and someone was doing this, and I think it was a young lady who had long dark hair. She was sitting on the end near the wall. She was doing some really detailed work, and it was awesome to see. She was doing little detailed work in the nooks and crannies, little detailed dots and things. That's exactly what you want to do as you figure out, okay, I think I'm good here. I want to add a little bit more yellow here and there. It's just kind of taking a look at what colors you might want to add in, and specifically the blue space. She did a great job with that. Not sure her name. But I saw you all the way from Fairfield. But it's really just being happy with the blue spacing or filling it in with little dots, ever so slightly. Just so you are happy with your bouquet. So we'll do these pink flowers in a minute. We'll do the orange flowers first. My pink flower is almost dry. I don't know why it's still wet. My goodness gracious. So if anybody's orange flowers need a little love, you can check out what I'm doing next. These orange flowers, I'm using like a peachy orange. And some of these are like ranunculus style. Some have a little bit more structure. I'm going to turn this big one into like a cluster of 3 because I don't know what happened. Just decided to do its own thing here. So I'm just kind of like forming exterior like shaping. So you can see I put like a couple lines through the middle right here just to kind of like section it off from one another. So for me, like that looks better. So what's going to happen is you want to create a little bit of a center. So you can use your like dotting, and you just want to create a little bit of a center. So darks and lights. See, I'm creating like a little bit of a circle dotted center. That's optional. I'm just doing that because from far away, that looks better to me. And darker colors will help with contrast and hold space. So I'm tucking in a little bit of red on the edges because it's touching this pink, just to kind of like help hold the shape a little bit more. See how we just did that on the edge right there? And I might even come up and do this on the top even with a little bit of blue. See, I want those orange flowers to really stand out. See how there's one here and there's one over here. You can use a darker color, even like that background blue. I might just use this. There's a purple right here. Oh, I have a blue. I'm going to probably come in with a blue and kind of cover this up. See how those just stick out that much more? And then you can be playful with, you're going to basically want a darker orange to do some of this detailed work. Make sure your brush isn't that wet. You want really full paint pigment. And you can just start kind of filling in. And if the flower is circular, really just use your eye. You can use a little bit of pink for like, you could do a dot of pink in the middle for like the center. That looks kind of cool. Of your orange flowers, a little dot of pink, because guess what? There's pink flowers nearby. So all these colors are complementary. They're all going to visually balance out one another. So doing a little dark orange, a little bit of pink, just doing some texturing. I'm just going to let them dry and I'll think about, I'm going to lighten those up a little bit. But they're starting to come to life a little bit more. I did one over here a little bit different. I did kind of some petals through. It's not done. In the picture, they're more ranunculus, so they're kind of all circular. I'll show you what the circular looks like. I'll just do this one. You can just do like some circles, like around and around like a swirl. And you can do them softly. See, that looks really pretty. I just did some circulars with a very soft kind of peach color. And I'll do it to those. Maybe I'll just do this one a little bit. So like circular, just soft circular shapes. It's a little bit more of an abstract. Maybe I'll do that up here a little bit. See, I have a little bit of the darker orange in the middle and the exterior is a little more peachy. It's just about playing with it. I'm going to let these two dry and I'll do a little bit of ranunculus swirl on that. I'll kind of take a look around if there's anything else. Give your flowers centers. They don't need centers. But we'll do these pink flowers next. But play with your oranges for a minute. For me, I have a lot of paint on these oranges. So I'm going to take the corner of a paper towel. If anybody has too much paint on any flower, you can always take the corner of a paper towel and kind of blot it off. For me, I'm going to do that for some of these oranges because I'm going to make it look a little bit more ranunculus. So I don't need this orange on. I like this kind of abstract, kind of swirling shape. Be careful to not wipe off the blue. I almost did. But you can use thin brush strokes and do circular patterns. And that will give you some really cool, abstract kind of rose looks. So, and I had dark orange behind. So maybe try that if you're looking for some texture. Do some dark orange behind and then do some lighter orange swirls on top. That could be cool. But let it dry first, always the key. So those came out better. And our pink flowers are going to be very similar. So as we start kind of dialing in some of these details, the pink flowers are the ranunculus style. I'm going to do that again. They're going to have a black center, but we're going to do that at last. But they're going to have a light pink swirl in just the middle part. So that will be quite fun. If people don't want to do that style, you don't have to, but that's what I'll show you. Again, lots of details in this class today, and you can do as much or as little detail as you wish. You are kind of in control over that. So you want a light pink for the interior of the ranunculus of these pink flowers. If you don't want to do the style that I'm about to do, you don't have to. You can let me be the guinea pig first. And I'll show you how that goes. So I'm basically I'm going to kind of do the middle first, and I'm just going to do some circular. Ooh, it's like kind of a swirl. That's kind of fun. And I might paint it and I might just like it and I might just leave it. So you could try a swirl if you wanted to try that. Leave some space, go nice and slow. And it can be uneven if you want it to be. You could kind of create a little bit of a rose. You could do a little bit of some soft texturing. You don't have to go full. It's kind of fun. Wasn't planning on that, but it came out all right. I'll do it again. I have a couple of these flowers. I'll do the same thing for each. I have a light pink color. I'm spinning my brush on, I'll bring this a little closer too. So I started by just doing a swirl, and then I have these little pieces, and these pieces are not connected. Look at that. And then they don't have to have a lot of paint on them either. Can even wipe some of that off. Let's do another one together. Go around, and if it's not all touching, that's okay. Kind of creating a little bit of a fun kind of rose center. If you don't like that, you don't have to do it. It's kind of fun. I did it nice and gently. And those lines aren't connected. This isn't a full spiral. It's kind of a segmented spiral. And again, I'm just being in the moment, just like many of you. I did not plan every single step of this class. So just know it's okay to fly by the seat of your pants and just be in the moment. Have fun with it. You can just do a little one up there. You can outline some of these petals if you want. Look at the shape. You can make some of these choices. They're all in the same family, right? So work my way around. Find all those pink flowers that need a little love. There we go. There's another one. That one's a little funky, but that's all right. So everyone's going to be at their own pace. After these pink flowers, I'll show you how to do some overlapping pink flowers down at the bottom. And then we'll do stems and we'll kind of check the time. And if anyone needs help with any particular flower color for like detailed work, please let me know. I'm happy to direct my attention to a need that you might have in person. Here we go. Again, you're just picking one flower, adding detail to it, just working your way around. So I did my pink flowers, I did my orange flowers, I did my green leaves. Awesome. So I'm almost done my pink flowers, and then I'll show you how to do some really fun pink flowers kind of coming down here. I love the ones that overhang. It's so pretty. So we strive to have our window boxes look like. They have those beautiful heaps of pink and purple and yellow flowers just overlapping. All right. So just take a look around before we do any additional flower detail down here. Just take a look around to see if there's any additional leaves that might need a little bit of accent work. I'm just grabbing my light green and just maybe filling in. Make sure everything has a second coat. Again, in my classes, it's important to teach a little mindfulness so you don't forget something. You can get home and say, oh my gosh, this green leaf is not done. Don't worry, I'm here to hopefully remind you to look everywhere before you move on. I'm just gonna touch up one area over here. Oh, and I forgot a pink flower over here. So I'm literally reminding myself to finish flowers. Awesome. So take a look around, make sure you didn't miss any flowers. Oh, these yellow ones need a little love. See, I don't know about you all, but I have a million flowers, a million things going on here. All right, yellow. Filling in my little yellow flowers. Maybe some of these with just a couple of brush strokes. All right. Take a look at those blank spaces in between. Any gaps that you might want to fill in. You could just use a little bit of white paint. You could do a couple leaves here and there. You could do dots. My bouquet is looking pretty full. All right, so I'll show you how to add in some of this really cute kind of pink coming overlapping. If you want to do pinks or purples, you can. I'm going to mix a little bit more pink. So red and white mixed together will make your pink. And then we'll do the stems inside of the bowl. And then we can check on one another here. And if folks have to leave at 3 at the top of the hour, I certainly understand. Let me know if you want me to do stems before that. We should be wrapping up in the next 10, 15 minutes at the most. So, right. So I'm going to mix this together for a pink. And this is going to be a fairly darker pink because I'm going to use a lighter pink on the interior. And these are just fun. And if you don't want to do this step, you don't have to. Again, I'll show you as an idea. It's just layering additional flowers on top of your bowl in itself. So there's a couple of these, they're the size of a pea, really. And they're just coming down ever slightly and using a smaller brush, kind of just layering them in. Just a little bit of a flower coming down. And it can be a little bigger, it can be a little smaller. And for me, it's going to kind of go all the way off to the bottom of the page. Like it's going to go off. And if you wanted to make like one side of it a little bit bigger and for it to kind of narrow down in, you could. So that's just an option. It's kind of just like a fun little thing. We're going to bring that to life. It looks kind of boring right now. And I'm going to just do a little bit of a sequence over here. So maybe I'll just do a little 1, 2. Just tucking behind these leaves. These are kind of like sprigs that are just kind of off the cusp. I'm going to add a little bit of light pink in the interior of some of these. So kind of fun. I might add another darker green contrast leaf as well. So you can see I have several. I'm going to let those pink kind of flower driblets dry. And then I'm going to add a little bit of a darker green. So if anybody has any of that green grass left on their palette, a grain size of rice, a little bit of black. I'm going to add in a couple of dark green leaves for contrast. So we have a lot of light green leaves. I'm going to add in just a couple of dark green, and this is going to be a really beautiful wow statement. I'll show you what it looks like. So if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. Okay. So I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to probably layer it right on the top of these, but I'll do one over here so you can see it. So I'm going to do a darker green contrasting leaf. Over here. And anywhere you might want to tuck in a little bit of a green contrast, darker green contrast, feel free to tuck any of that in. So remember where I was talking about earlier, is adding depth to an item is a lighter color and a darker color. Anywhere I have green up here, I'm just going to do a touch. I'll even do a little bit right here. A touch of the darker green. Add some really nice contrast. You can actually shape this. So you can even use this darker green on the left or the right side of any of the lighter leaves, just to bring it to life. Just as an example. I've been kind of like outlining the top of it too a little bit. I'm going to outline this green leaf with a little bit of the darker green. So many of you are thinking like, holy details. This is when you do something detailed like this is doing it right. And if this is too much, don't worry about it. I'm here to just show you and offer you different tips and tricks and techniques. I'm using a little of the dark green to add in some veining on this lighter leaf. Look how beautiful that looks. So pretty. Using a smaller brush. Thin leaf lines. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So we could spend a whole, 3 hours more together, but we all need to take care of ourselves and eat dinner and those things. So we won't do that. However, today's class is recorded. So if you wanted to come back to any of these details, my website is paintandsipvt.com. If you know Andrea, you can also get my contact information from her. On each of these sheets is my name, my phone number, and my website, which is helpful. And I do have a survey at the bottom of this. So if anybody has any feedback or would like to leave a review for today's class, I always welcome feedback. But we'll wrap up in just a minute. Just showing you a little bit of an accent for a dark green leaf, or adding a dark green contrast to other leaves. I'm going to add one more dark green leaf. We'll do the stems, and then I'll show you how to do some of the light pink detail inside of some of these pinks. So since we have the dark green in our hand, if anybody has that, we can do 2 or 3 of these dark green stems. So if anybody wants to do stems with me, they are kind of coming on an angle. So like imagine all the stems kind of coming into the bottom here. So I'm going to do one maybe here. And you can have them as thick or as thin as you want. Start thinner because then you can always make them more thick. They're just single lines, and we're going to do several of them. And I probably should have done it before this, but I'll just tuck it behind this. So we're just going to do some stems. The stems can be in lots of different colors. You can do some yellow stems. This is the fun part where you just do lots of different stems. I might do maybe one pink stem. But you want them to kind of be overlapping. So the dark green, so by having them overlap, makes them look more natural, right? Just like a normal vase. So do some crisscrosses. You don't need too many stems, so kind of just eyeball it. Mine are going to go off the page, like out of the bottom, because if you look at the picture, they can go right to the bottom if you have a nice ending point. But these are like dark browns, dark purples. You don't want too many lighter colors, but it's up to you. But I'm doing an array of the colors that I used above in this space. You can see how they're kind of overlapping. And the nice thing is, if you don't like the stems, you can always paint over them. I am probably going to come in with a little bit of white and texturize them so they're not so bold. So I'm going to let those dry. I just did several. I'm going to probably do a couple of blue stems to match the blue background as well. And I'm going to come in with white, and you can soften it. So again, if you do stems, let them dry. You can texturize this with white, and you can kind of hide some of it if you want. I'm going to do just a blue stem. It will match the background. It will match any blue detail work that you might have done. Yeah. So it might look kind of funny right now, but I'm going to do a little bit of a water, like a white over it. just to soften it, and it will look really good. If anybody did these pink dotted kind of flowers coming on and off, use a light pink on the interior of those. It will look stunning. And then we'll walk around, we'll check out, we'll keep an eye on the clock. If there's anyone who has any questions or finishing touches, let me know. But folks are probably getting pretty close to being done. And then Andrea, I can grab a group picture. If your phone can be set up in a way that everybody could get in it, I could take a group picture as an option, but folks can keep working. I'm going to mix a light pink for the interior of those little pink flowers. This will look really fun. A nice light pink. And I'm going to do a little kind of pink dot in the middle of each of these pink flowers. And again, if you don't like any of these, you can always just paint over them. It's not a big deal. For me, it's just like a little bit of it's a little extra pizzazz. Especially when you peel off the tape. All right. Little pink dot inside of the darker pink dot. But any finishing touches, you can come in and use the lighter pink for these pinker flowers. You can add some white if anybody wants to see a little bit of white in the middle of these pink flowers. If you wanted to add the black dot, we can do that as well. In these pink flowers, I'll add a black dot to show you what that looks like, a black center. That's a nice bit of contrast. Again, we could be here for a while. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of a black dot in the middle of these flowers. They're going to be kind of long. And guess what? If I don't like this black dot, I can always paint over it. So all is well there. Not sure how I feel about the black dot, but I'm going to give it a shot here. Maybe change the shape of it. There we go. I like the rounded black dot. The oval shape they had in the picture didn't really go for me. A rounded black dot would work. Fun.
I think most people are doing pretty well. They're starting to think about wrapping up.
Yep, we're all right there. So that's perfect.
So
Cool. So what we'll do is let this dry. If folks feel like they're pretty much done and you're excited and you want to peel off your paint, I feel like I'm pretty happy. I'll peel off my paint, I'll peel off my painter's tape. Showcase the final product here. I'm going to do a little bit of white on top of the stems, but besides that, I think I'm done.
Oh, you're thinking outside the box too.
yours is like a whole garden as well.
There we go.
I like it.
There we go.
Look at it. It looks so much better than mine.
Yeah.
So. Oh, that's mine. They're having so much fun. They are.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll add you to our spotlight here.
Look how bright it is up there.
I know.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That was so
Isn't that cute? She did so cute.
Everybody did so well.
So I'm
Different than our paper flowers we made.
yeah.
For those of us that did that.
So I'm just going to do a
Beautiful.
soft white wash on top of some of my stems, just so they blend in a little bit.
I didn't use any purples. You did lots of different blue and purple. I like it.
Yeah, we didn't do a ton of blue, but I know some folks did, which is fun.
It was a lady who had it just.
I might do more white paint on top.
I'm headed out, Megan.
Carrie, thank you for joining. I hope you had fun.
I did. It was great fun. Thank
Oh,
you.
good. I thought it was a really beautiful inspiration. I'm so glad you're able to join us today.
Yes, me too. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
See you next time.
Yes, see you soon. All right. So ladies, if you are taking these out and you're putting flowers in them, drill 3 or 4 holes in the bottom of the tin can before you put things in there. Get a nail, put some holes in the bottom first. I made the mistake of not doing that my first time. Beautiful, nice clean lines, lovely. Also, if you have a clear spray, these will last year round, like for a very long time. Do 2 coats of like a clear spray and they'll be able to last outside. You can also write your name and the date, maybe 2022. You can maybe write it on the side. You could write it on the back. Maybe I'll do that now. Before you spray it, do the date. I did mine down here on the corner. I'll probably do a second coat. But I know many of you are wrapping up. I hope everyone had a nice time today. Again, a round of applause for Dina and all the work that she's doing in Guatemala. And thank you all for being a part of this fundraiser. It means a lot.
We collectively had a nice thank you as well, Megan.
No problem. You're so welcome. It was so nice to be here. I want to thank you for having me.
I know. Now we gonna put the tape off? Oh, I don't know. I don't know either.
All right, Andrea, I'll go ahead and let you go. Thanks again. Great partnership for today's event. And I'll follow up with you and Dina on any remaining items.
Yes, thank you so much. We'll
Take
send
care,
you
everybody.
a group photo when we get there.
Oh,
Yep.
lovely. All right, take care.
Bye.